Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Next Mountain podcast, where we explore post-exit transitions, finding purpose, and building meaningful impact. Today, we're joined by Christoph Erler, a technology entrepreneur and co-founder of Comex, a platform transforming how B2B companies scale their sales. So Chris built and scaled Comex from a bootstrap startup to a very successful company, and he exited successfully at a very young age. So in this conversation, we explore his journey through rapid growth, exit, and we'll dive into the personal side of the journey. So from burnout, identity shift, and reconnecting to his body, his intuition, his health, and finding deeper purpose after success. I hope you'll enjoy this conversation as much as we did. And if you do, please share and like the podcast to support us and help us continue bringing you these powerful stories. So now let's get started.
Welcome to the Next Mountain podcast. Yeah, we're so pleased to have you today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Super exciting.
So maybe as a beginning, maybe you can introduce yourself and where you're from, what you do.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks so much. And yeah, great stuff you're doing. I'm following you also on Substack. And just a few words about me. I'm originally from Austria. You hear it probably in my accent. And grown up in the skiing area in the Alps. And started in mechanical engineering and actually flying planes when I was 16. And I always wanted to become a pilot until I was sitting in a plane and decided not to become a pilot because I was more like bus driving in the air. And in the mechanical engineering school, I never saw myself as a mechanical engineer, like work with people too much. But what I learned was how to work with processes. And I was working for General Electric then afterwards. And we built big combustion engines for energy production, GE Energy basically. And I decided studying economy as my bachelor's, moved to Copenhagen. Um, and during my studies, I actually met my co-founder, and we launched and tried our first business in the software sales automation space. That was 2016, 17. And we were very lucky because when COVID hit, everyone wanted to do online sales. And that's what we did in Germany. And no one else did it in Germany because it was also 2018 GDPR coming. And that was my comics journey, basically. And we launched our business in South Africa and in Berlin. Moved from Copenhagen to Berlin, hired German-speaking staff. And that's why I'm sitting right now in South Africa, because after our exit, I simply fell in love already before with South Africa. So it's like my second home. I stay in the summer in South Africa and then in summer in Berlin, Europe. And I love Berlin, love Cape Town. It's my two homes. And I actually did last year my pilot license then finally for BPL, and just enjoying life right now, having my own consulting firm and spending my time in both continents, both hemispheres, basically.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you for your kind words. I'm also reading what you put out on Substack as well. And I think the one thing that really stands out from what you're putting out is both your systems oriented brain and your approach that's very structured. But also, what I really enjoy in your writing is that you also let in the personal experiences and struggle and awakenings you've had. And just recently I was reading some of your recent articles. So I'm just, since we're talking to a lot of post-exit founder, maybe you could, I'm curious to hear more about that transition when you first, your first exit. How did that come about? And what were some of the awakening you had or understandings you had that you didn't expect?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it did not change that much. The only thing that changed was a burnout straight after my exit, actually. That was the worst thing, because it was not a fit for me. So our exit was not really special. It was a very usual bootstrap private equity sales case. We maybe did it a little bit earlier than other companies. Like I think we sold after 4 years. And we decided actually selling only 51% of our company. And we decided also to stay full on. And I underestimated actually that staying on with a private equity fund in the background is not my favorite thing to do, because I became immediately a manager instead of a founder. And you need to, because honestly, we were 140 people. There's private equity fund. They have expectations. They have LPs behind. It was, I don't know, 300 million euro fund. in total. Of course, there's high expectation, high pressure, and the culture changes immediately. And you as a leader also need to. So the first thing was just a gut feeling. I wasn't sure if I should stay on. I was simply not the right guy to do it. That's why I left corporate when I was 24. I simply don't enjoy running in a system and just fulfilling a role and not feeling it. And I didn't feel it because on one side there was the private equity fund, on the other side there were employees, and both had very high expectations, right? And us in the middle, and then the market started to shake 2022, and that just after growing up the business bootstrapped, that pressure and not really feeling aligned with like what I really love to do and who I am, that it actually caused the trigger because I have an autoimmune thing, and they caused basically just to flourish. So the first thing after my exit was very unpleasant because half a year later I could not really do a lot for 3 months of time. Um, what I felt on an intro perspective world was basically relief. Of course, it's great. I'm basically I had a great upbringing. We never lacked of money or anything, but we were never having like enough money. So obviously we always needed to hustle. So suddenly you do an exit, the money gets wired to your bank account, and suddenly you, of course, see that amount and you don't realize it first. But if you feel like the way you spend it, for me, it didn't change a lot, but you just don't worry anymore. And that was the major shift also, the freedom. And I did a lot of chats, like I basically informed myself and chatted a lot with other entrepreneurs. I'm part of entrepreneurs organization. My co-founder Philip, he founded a post-exit group actually there. And then we just did a couple of exchanges, and the relief was something that a lot of other entrepreneurs had. And it was basically something where you reorient. So the reorientation, I really enjoyed it because it set me free, and freedom is a very high value. And what I learned for myself is like money is freedom, nothing else. I did not buy any flashy cars, nothing. I simply enjoyed like my freedom. I did my balance license now, and I started another job, which was basically an investor job, and there was also completely a new orientation. I so many things changed, and looking back, I did not expect actually. So the feeling internally changed, my motivation changed. Actually, the business wasn't really my business anymore. Um, I needed to do something with the money and invest it. It's a job. I underestimated that. So I have my own holding in Germany. So it's a full-on blown job. I really didn't expect that. And then the next thing is what to do with the freedom that you have, right? And that felt really great. With the Post Exit Group, basically we basically agreed that there's a certain process that totally makes sense. And I don't know if you want to hear little bit more about that process that we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Um, so what I heard, and it was this story that I thought was most impressive. Many entrepreneurs, and the ones I thought they are the coolest, the post-exit ones, they thought about doing 12 months nothing. So
Mm.
nothing doesn't mean like you, I don't know, just party and do nothing, but you don't focus on anything, and you don't, because entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
a lot of them have ADHD. I think
Mhm.
I have very low aspects of ADHD also. You look for the next thing, right? And
Yeah.
I forced myself for 12 months not to do that. So just hold my hands still. We were, of course, engaged in the old business, another 2 years till 2024. So from 2024 till 2025, I had this process, and I really enjoyed it. So what I did, and looking back, I think that was really the right thing to do, was taking one of my favorite coaches and doing a Ikigai next step
Mhm.
process. So the Ikigai is a Japanese way of living,
Mhm.
how to lead a happy life. So I started the process, and we immediately felt the power of it because it asks you, what did you always enjoy to do? So I went immediately back to my childhood and looked as a child, what did I do? So I found all the answers there because I loved already history. I always want to become history. I love just to understand complex things, and I really enjoyed flying. And that's the three things I figured out for myself that really passionately uh, really motivate me, and that's how the life I want to have. So started doing it. I wanted actually to study history, but then with AI, I thought, yeah, I don't enjoy reading the books, but I enjoy the stories. So I started a history podcast. The second part was, of course, I did the pilot lessons, and the third one, I engaged in my own consulting firm, and I found out I really enjoy helping other founders that struggle in the scale up phase, because the scale up phase was the phase I enjoyed most because it was complex. You needed to come from like basic processes to solve them. And now today with AI, you can do that really efficiently and fast. And that's the 3 pillars that I discovered for myself. And yeah, I mean, to anyone listening to the podcast, any post-exit founders, I would just engage everyone just looking into what have you always enjoyed doing. And for 1 second, just switch off the entrepreneur brain and immediately launching the next thing if you're able to do that, if you have the freedom and financial resources.
Yeah, I think that's really wise. Because it's true that many end up jumping onto the next thing really quickly, but without taking the time to actually feel what's happening and just
Yeah.
doing that Ikigai work, which is fantastic. I wonder, you described in the Substack you wrote, you had specific targets that you hit. By the way, congratulations! Like really early on, right? You nailed it. Everything you wanted to do, you did it. But yeah, when you hit it, you describe in your Substack that you felt quite hollow, in a way that you didn't even have language for, right? So I wonder if you could share a little bit more what that was like. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's all my life I was looking for, okay, we are hustling, and you don't even ask yourself, like, actually, you need to make money, right? I mean, it's obvious, like, everyone runs in a system like that, almost,
Yeah.
like, let's say 99% of humanity. So at some point, when money is not the issue anymore, something happens in the brain. And my co-founder said always, if someone has enough money not to worry anymore and quit his job or her job, the real character comes out and the real motivation comes out of this person, right? And I think that's true. And I was a moment just puzzled, a half a year. And that was exactly the moment where the private equity fund locked us in, because we didn't have any clauses to stay on, no vesting, nothing. So we could basically just look for the next CEOs and then onboard them. So my brain and my whole system was still running on the old system, and I was not able to switch fast enough to understand, okay, actually that's not the right thing. And inside myself, my gut feeling knew it already. So there was a hole I was falling into where my program, I think it was protection and fear, was still running on the old program. So I was like, okay, I'm the COO. I still want to lead the 100 people, and I need to do that, because otherwise the company doesn't work anymore, which is 100% not the case. I think you're always replaceable, also as a founder. I think you just need the right people and the right onboarding process for the right people. And that's something I completely underestimated. And the hole I fell into, of course, you start to having parties and you celebrate and you think, yeah, okay, wow, you could buy those flashy things. For me, that immediately the phase was over after 1 week. I basically
Wow, that was short.
that was short, yeah, because I read this amazing book. Of course, I had the chats with the other entrepreneurs, but I read this amazing book, Psychology of Money. I forgot the
Yes.
author now. And Psychology
Yes.
of Money is exactly about that. It's about the freedom. And I just enjoy my freedom. So I was just like, okay, that's really awesome. But same time, I also had this fear in me. What do I do now? So
Yeah.
the staying on and being important and having, and of course, I like my employees a lot. I still, like, having left the company now for 2 years, I met some of them in South Africa. We have a very good relation. They tell me a lot of good things that they like to work with me together, and I felt the same way. So it was like almost my family, right? And it's very, very normal. And I just underestimated how fast this became, like, really almost like my enemy, the whole thing, because, like, we had a transition of employees. Employees were very angry because we made a commission change. So the whole afterwards was sucked up straight with me staying on board, and then, like, vice versa, turning against me. And if I look back, I would have taken my dime, actually. And with have taken my dime, I think I would have really gotten more into this fear of, okay, what's the next thing? And figured out, okay, what do I want to be afraid of? It's time really to switch off this brain and reinvent myself. And that's basically how it felt. Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. And you mentioned you read a bunch of books, and in every one of your Substacks and recommendation, you have books. So I'm wondering, any other book you want to share, but any other type of help you got during that phase that helped you kind of get out of it?
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure Psychology of Money. And the book Ikigai is actually, there's a great book about that, of course. So this is really, they also mention methodology, or like a terminology of the North Star. So looking into your own
Yes.
North Star, what's my own value and vision. So those two things help me. As I like to do a lot of things simultaneously, there's the book called The One Thing. I was always a fan of. The One Thing forces you more or less to focus on, okay, rather than like doing 5 things simultaneously, do the one thing and really, really well. And then I have a lot of psychology books that helped me, and that was going. And that's something more of my history, how I founded the business. I started meditation 18 years ago, and I
Mm,
explored spirituality. And I was actually listening 4 years on online books of Eckhart Tolle. It's
mm,
this, many
yeah.
people don't like him because he's a very exhausting voice, people say. I never cared about it, but this helped me just to switch off my brain sometimes. And
Mm.
the methodology, or like really being able to meditate, it's something I think just helps self reflection, right? And there I would say Eckhart Tolle helped me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I met Eckhart Tolle in India, like something like 15
Oh,
years
really?
ago. Yeah, when he had just released his book before his book got famous, The Power of
Yeah.
Now. And I
Yeah.
remember I was in this small town in South India that's very well known for this ashram, and someone said,
Yeah.
"Oh, do you want to come to this reading? There's this guy who has this book," and went there, and he was so delightful just being in the room, and the way there's so much joy that
Yeah.
was coming out of him. And then he came to the town, and it was really so. It's interesting because anytime now today people say, "Oh, Eckhart Tolle," like, "Oh, this," because he got very famous, but he represents something really powerful. I think that's
Yeah.
when you talk about this one thing, he has this very clear message.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I mean, for
yeah,
me, it's also like entrepreneurs per se. There is something special about you, because otherwise everyone could do it, right? And there's also a
right.
certain trust aspect. And I founded my business. We never had an idea, my co-founder and me. For me, it was really, I had a spiritual side on it. I know it sounds super weird. And I was, in the beginning, I also super didn't understand it completely. Because when I was 28 and I decided to quit my job, I had a great job in Copenhagen as a consultant. And I had a great job, like great salary. I loved the team. And I was afraid. I was like crazy afraid. I tried to explore it. So I went to this shaman. It's nothing else than a coach or a therapist, in my opinion. And she did this very strange channeling seminar, which I really liked because it was something completely different. And people just sit there and like they channel these other entities. So I was talking with this girl, and she said, like, "Yeah, I have this very strong voice I feel about you." And something happened in me, and I connected to this voice. Now I would say it was my own gut feeling and my own things I have not discovered with 28, right? But this voice always said, "Do it." And there will be something, some major change that you will do, and you will be super successful. And I just had this confidence suddenly, and I followed it through. So I think every person has this confidence. Eckhart Tolle calls it the inner energy, or the spiritual thing that comes, that's opposite of your mind, right? I think everyone has it. And exploring it, I always enjoyed. I always was a big fan of like really going deep into the subconscious thing. I also do that right now in my entrepreneurs organization. I joined a couple of entrepreneurs where we do journey retreats for next step, right? Exploring ourselves. In my opinion, the issues that we see right now also in the world, it needs people to rethink. It needs people also coming to what's the real value that we look into. So for me, I just answered a lot of questions. Also, what I explored within myself is also in the outer world very important. And it's like, what we did until now maybe doesn't work anymore. Let's reinvent it. And in my opinion, it's not all about money, right? Obviously, I think I haven't met any entrepreneur who does the things only about money. It's also having a change. And this was for me also a very important exploration journey. And that's why I say I recommend like books like or Eckhart Tolle, or looking inside yourself and see what's your own superpower. And again, coming to the post exit and to the void and emptiness that I felt afterwards, I think there's a great opportunity, because especially in Europe, it's not like in the US where you have these tons of better deals and Elon Musks and David Sachs that go after a deal and change the world and be like super going on with impactful work. I don't think it is in Europe that way. And I think I would engage also European post-exit funds just to continue, and because I mean it's humans that make a huge impact. And I think entrepreneurship has a huge impact on society, and we need that, especially in Europe also. Because I
Yeah.
think I'm a little bit afraid Europe is falling behind now. It's like, I don't know, it's very European now, but I mean, Germany doesn't do that great in economy. Uh, I think entrepreneurs and young people and post-exit people, they can have an impact. And I think that's just important. And I try to do this with my work. We will see if I will be able to have an impact or not.
Yeah, well, what's very interesting, and of course, we could go into a number of things that you talked about, which are fascinating, and we could talk about it for hours. But what I found interesting in what I see about your work is that there's a natural, when someone reaches the success and connects with themselves, the natural outcome is wanting to help others. And with the work that you're doing now, and you're consulting, and I've had the chance to access some of the resources you created. It's clear that you want to take all your this experience and knowledge and put it in a way so you can help, especially European entrepreneurs. So, how did that start? This desire to help, other scale ups.
Yeah, I have a genius interest in people. I
Yeah,
always had that. Like,
yeah.
I don't know where it comes from, but the psychology, my own psychology, subconsciousness interests me. But I also have a genius interest just in other people. It's something I can't explain. I get a lot of joy on working with others and creating something bigger.
Mm.
Um, and I can't explain where it comes from. It's just a passion that I'm having. So being helpful, and that's the combination of the mechanical engineering brain. I think one thing I always thought that my co-founder is also former mechanical engineer, educated person like I am, and we both basically have this very structured mindset of, okay, there was a problem, and we just figured out how to solve it, and there's a certain steps towards it, and these steps are almost universal, right? And I found out that this is quite helpful because if you're in the trenches and you don't see the forest anymore because of all the trees, you lose the oversight. It's very normal. You have no one that pulls you out. And Philip, my co-founder, he was very good. We were a very good co-founder couple. We had a third one also, but we were very close because we were both in Europe. We helped each other to basically reflect and pull each other out, right? And create new processes. And you need someone doing that. And my clients mostly are solo entrepreneurs, or they are entrepreneurs that where the other co-founders just it didn't work out, so they left, and then they're standing there alone, which is super hard. So you have no one to talk about it. You have no one to ask really for help. Of course, many have networks. I was always struggling after 10 million euro revenue. I struggled finding mentors that have done the journey already. And I think the air is getting very thin with people, or like finding people that actually have done it and are helpful and enjoy it and share the knowledge. And that's for me something a big value is created above 5 million euro or even above 1 million euro revenue, right? The struggles are super big and the pain point is extremely huge. I think the number of burnouts, they are high on the statistics. I think the black number, like the number which we don't know, is even higher. And I think it's just a beautiful work, and I enjoy it a lot because I feel at the end, of course, I can teach someone how to do sales marketing. I can show someone what's the process to understand churn rates and delivery and so on. But oftentimes you don't do it as a founder, number one, because you don't know how to do it. But number two, you're afraid and you're overwhelmed and you just burned out, right? So having someone by the side, it gives me a lot of joy. It gives me a lot of motivation also to just be impactful and helpful. And I'm 37 and I'm not ready to retire, actually.
Knowing you have a lot to share to the world. There's something that's coming up for me in what you're sharing, which is a bit the story of how success has shifted in your life, how you've seen it, right? And so again, you said, I think you mentioned 21, you wanted to be financially free at 33, plus
Yeah.
making a dent in the economy, right? Which nailed it, achieved it. So I'm wondering, like, what was the script behind that story of success initially? How did it come
Yeah.
about early in your life, and how has that
Mhm.
shifted now that you're like bringing this support to people? Has
Yeah.
success, like the story of success, changed for you a little bit, and if yes, how?
Yeah. That's a perfect question. I love that question. I actually started to so I don't know when I did start meditation. I think it was with 20, like 17 or 18 years ago, something like this, 19, 20. And I started to manifest. So I just found out, okay, wow, if there's a world inside me, why don't I just write the things down I want to achieve? So I was grown up in Europe with great education, being a guy, so there was nothing to lose. So it's a little bit contrarian to the German fear culture. I'm also Austrian, by the way, but still, there is, of course, things that hold you back, and it's your own mind, right? And I was like, okay, why don't I just stream up those things? And that was exactly what you just said. Financially freedom, making a dent in the economy, exactly that. And I think the power of manifestation and really believing in it and open the heart for it and not acting out of fear, I think that's extremely powerful. And I actually did the last 12 months exactly the same again this time. I just feel there's something very unique, and I don't feel it. I mean, it's obvious. Like everyone talks about it. The change that we're doing right now with AI is so incredible. Especially, I did software before. I couldn't do the business. I would not be able to do the business again because things are just like too wild. The mode is not there anymore. Everyone can do it. I think that's really great because it helps a lot of people and a lot of young people. On the same side, I do coach young entrepreneurs being now 19, 20, like I've been 17 years ago. And I see they are also very fearful and very much afraid because what should they do now? Because their MBA they might do or their studies, there won't be jobs anymore. No one maybe will hire them. We simply don't know it. I think the chance is very high. With me working in my companies, automating things, having not hired anyone in my holding company and doing the job of at least 2 to 3 people right now, just myself. I don't even want to know if in Germany is a little bit slower, especially the corporates with implementing AI. I don't want to see or I don't want to know what will happen in 2 to 3 years time with all the people and how will they employ it. So that's a very big question, I know, but it's something I'm very much concerned and afraid because all my friends and study mates, they do have corporate jobs. A lot of them worked for Salesforce and sales, etc. You see the numbers, how people are just basically that I have no job anymore, right? And I see myself having right now the unique impact of having the knowledge and the resources, teaching young entrepreneurs additionally, and also like helping younger people also to find like their own way. And I think these methods, how we build our business, the Lean Startup book from Eric Ries, for example, and the Mom Desk book, where you learn how to find a niche in the market. I think these are great frameworks for young people and for everyone to be basically to become economically free and to create your own career. And that's what I designed for myself. So I want to be part of this movement. That's why I'm also working almost 8 to 10 hours a day with AI and developing products and just helpful tools for my clients. Like I'm not saying products in terms of I want to create a new market for something. I simply want to solve problems. Just one example, I built a sales coach platform for SDRs. One of my clients, he just hired a couple of SDRs. He needs to train them like sales development representatives. They're on the phone and you want to train them. You want to listen to the calls. So I built basically a dashboard and a bot that does that automatically with my knowledge behind. So I upload the transcripts, it analyzes it and gives me the output straight. So within like 10 minutes, I can coach someone and know everything about his struggles and his work he's doing. And that's just the start, in my opinion. And I just would love to be like in the front of this. And I hope I won't get replaced immediately. But I simply don't know. So I'm very humbled. Same time, I see the opportunity as an entrepreneur. And that's for me the vision. So I want to maybe in the next 10 years just be look back and have helped companies basically creating bigger revenue, bigger impact with very few resources and at the end creating a better world also with AI, because that's something we need to also do think
Yeah.
about. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting because what's being spoken about, the story about AI in the world, in the media, and what we see is very scary. It's very fear coded.
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
generally like it's going to replace people. People are going to lose their job, but just generally people are afraid of change.
Yeah.
And I think I'm curious to hear you about when we. I think what's needed is people or that put imagine what would a positive outcome with AI would be, but for
Yeah.
more people, because right now there's a very likely scenario that very fewer and fewer people, the ones who are high agency, you name
Yeah.
some of those very famous entrepreneur. So how do we create a situation with this amazing technology that allows to do things very fast? Because that's the number one thing,
Yeah.
is like just the
Yeah.
speed at which you can create systems and produce things. But how do we create a scenario where the benefits don't just concentrate in a very, very few amount of hands? How do we make sure
100%.
that it
Yeah.
benefits the majority? I'm curious to hear
I
your
mean, we need to rethink. One of my favorite subjects was in my economy studies was history of economy. And one thing I had a very impressive professor. And one thing I learned was the best form of capitalism basically was after World War II. So that's oftentimes when there was a big bang and war and lots of pain, people try to do better in the next generation. So it was a very controlled capitalism. So states had a lot of influence. They controlled the corporates. So, and they could just give a lot of social benefits to the people. And that has shifted. I mean, historians say after the oil crisis 71, latest after the 80s, basically shifted. So we had the wealth gap just like opening hardcore. And this will be worse even if we don't do anything. And I know this sounds like very utopian, but I mean, one of the books that I need to think about is like from Yuval Harari, he wrote this book Sapiens that a lot of people know. Yeah. He also wrote a great book, and already 5 years ago or 3 years ago, I don't know, I don't remember it anymore exactly. And he wrote a book about it's called the 21st Lessons about the 21st Century. And one of the lessons was how AI will impact humanity. And of course, one answer is basic income. So I looked at the experiments about basic income in experiments, and they don't always run very great. So people oftentimes lose motivation to do something, and they create a worse outcome than before. So we simply don't know and have the system ready. And I don't know if we as a society are ready. Because if we look back into history, humanity is a couple of 100,000 years old. Changing system within 2 years, it's very, very hard. And we are a lot of people on the planet. So there is a huge challenge, but every man-made challenge has a man-made solution. And in my opinion, if you ask me, if you look at industrial revolution, you can compare now what's happening in the industrial revolution. So people didn't need to work that hard anymore. They worked, 180 to 100 hours in the field. My family were farmers in the mountains in Austria back 400 years ago. It was very hard, very tough. With industrial revolution, you only worked in 50 to 60 hours in the factory, right? So what happened then at the end, the prices just like decreased and people had a better life quality. So what's happening now, you can't put those people in factories anymore. So people in factories and the white collar people, they will be simply unemployed. And I have a lot of chats with my friends. One very good friend of mine, he's writing a book about that actually, how we need to shift our thinking. And it's called Trust the Process. And it is about like how you create your own meaningful life, because we will come to this point. What do we do with the people that actually were the workforce 2025? And now it's 2026. So some scientists or some people that I read articles about, say 2027, 2028, we have a lot of more agents also already. So it is a really, really big question. And I think that's why I'm saying we are in a very unique time, because it affects everyone. It affects society. It affects technology. I think prices, it will be cheaper to build something. I think it will be easier. So there are a lot of great and good sides. And that's why I think entrepreneurship is a very, very great tool. And you can see it in the statistics. Last year, 2025, we had the highest amount of new founded businesses in Germany. And so there are a lot of challenges. I think the risks are simply, how do you close the wealth gap? I think it's way harder to create a business, especially in software. And I think there will be an aspect, one part, physical goods and physical services. I have some clients that do, for example, in the recruiting business and in the sales business. So people having calling, right? So those callers, I don't think you will immediately automate them, especially the account manager, because you can't do that. You can do it maybe with an SDR booking a meeting, but those people will run just more efficiently. So there's a new opportunity maybe for labor intense businesses that were back in the days called agencies, and everyone looked down at them and basically laughed at them. I think there's a great opportunity to make them highly efficiently and very profitable. And with software, I don't know what will happen. They believe that this apocalypse in the SaaS field will happen.
Yeah, I heard that.
And it does already. And I also wrote in one of my Substack articles about it. So this industry will shift completely. Basic income, I don't know if it really will work. I don't know if corporates are willing to give away revenue to to nations and people. That's not how our system works nowadays anymore, I think. So what I can do is like basically what I'm doing right now is helping entrepreneurs and basically solving problems also with scaling, and then using the technology, because one thing I totally believe is you can't stop innovation and you can't stop new developments. So I think AI, I just run with it and I just want to learn it, and I want to be in the front tier or in the front to basically implement it in European businesses.
I'm curious because you're speaking of what you're doing now and how you shifted to that. And I'm curious if we can speak a bit of your identity shift, because you write quite a bit, how in your first mountain, like we call it mountain, but however you want to call it, you fused your identity with the company, right? And how that was difficult. You mentioned it's a mistake, but I know many make it. Many make that mistake, right? And now you have quite a different identity where you're like, like doing all this research and trying to support people. So if you want to expand a little bit on that, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think identity for me, it's a lot about values, right? So my values, they never really shifted. So my values were always being helpful, were always working with people. That's why I decided with 18, also not knowing, switching from mechanical engineering to business, because I was like, I want to actually work with people more than sitting in and constructing engines and sitting in an office, right? So that didn't really change a lot. So the core has been the same. How I applied has shifted completely. 100% agreed. And it has shifted so quickly, because when I left my business 2024, I started a consulting firm, and the frameworks that I used, they were actually pretty unique. Now I use Claude or deep research of any kind of AI myself, and I'm actually quite stoked that the answers are actually much better than what I actually teach back in the days, right? So it's very humbling. So for me, I was just like, okay, wow, I will be obsolete. So let's see. And then that was the shift in identity for me, was just integrating the AI then, and I have the time also to do lots of research and lots of MVP building myself. So when I look at my Substack lately, I started actually to post what I do with AI, basically, and what I automate and how I do it, also the process on it, right? And that's for me the shift. I don't want to say, some friends lately went up to me and said like, oh yeah, you are like this AI guy because I built one or two tools. So for example, I automated my back office and I control it with my Telegram on my phone. So I can say, for example, write an email to my accountant with an invoice, for example, and stuff like this. And I do that also out of research purposes, right? And I want to see how it is to build it yourself. I don't want to be an AI guy, but it's something where when I come back to my values, being helpful, what do I want to do as a consultant? Like, how do I want to help us scale up if you can Google it, or if you can put it into a Cloud Deep Research and have a much better result? So why would I write a bill then to those people, right? Because they of course do pay me, and I don't want to be paid to be not helpful. I think this is stupid.
Right.
So this is 100% a hardcore identity shift. I always had an interest in technologies, and I always was a little bit. I hated C++ and Java in school, and now I have the time basically to do it without me coding. So it's actually great. And the identity shift, I don't even know how to call it anymore. Like I don't know. I'm a guy who did an exit before, and I just love to solve big challenges. And it's a really good question, because I simply don't have the answer. Where it was much more clear. 5 years ago, you were a software entrepreneur and a tech entrepreneur in Berlin.
Yeah.
Of course, now you can you can be the same, but I don't know like how long do the businesses exist, right?
I think it's very interesting, your focus on Europe and what we've spoken about. So you want to help entrepreneurship. And I think there's a really unique opportunity in Europe, and especially if we think big picture, like what we spoke, because Europe is a place where people are still culturally very rooted and connected, and to the place where they're from, and as opposed to North America, where we are. And and what we're putting for also is a theory of change that's based on relationships and culture. Because what I'm hearing, I found really interesting is that you both have this this mind that's very structured and systems and process oriented, but at the same time, it's not what's driving you. What's driving you is wanting to help and wanting to be a positive force in Europe. So what do you think what's your vision for what could happen with this technological shift? What do you think of what people are saying about the European tech scene? I'm just curious to hear about that.
Yeah, and I love that question because
Yeah.
that's such a history question. Actually,
Yeah.
you really can look into history and answer that. But the process and mechanical engineering thing is, I mean, if I'm really honest, I like to put the least amount of effort and have the most maximum amount of impact. And that's, other people call it lazy. So I was called lazy before. And I think it's a great thing being lazy because you simply look for new ways how to solve a problem. That's why I love the structured way, because it's simply faster, right? And then just like how to, with very little energy, just to do something. Where we go in Europe, I mean, the Europe focus is, for me, I mean, Europe has so much history. I think Europe has gone through also so much development. So look into the cultures, the wars that we did. I think it just was able to mature better. I think it runs into a lot of challenges. And you see also the German economy. Like, I have friends that leave Germany also right now because they don't see any future. And I totally understand it. I think pressure makes diamonds. I think Germany went through a lot of things before. I say Germany because it's the biggest economy. Also, I'm an Austrian, but Austria is like just like basically a part of Germany economy-wise, in my opinion. And I think there is right now, as engineering people culture, huge impact of the new technologies to apply them. And we missed already the SaaS and software development in the 2000s completely. There's one favorite book. It's called, it's a German book. It's called Silicon Germany. And it's about, like, on the Silicon Valley, how Germany missed everything. Like, what did we miss? Like, everything. Like, basically, there was Google, Microsoft, everything coming from the US. So the United States is just like fast, and exactly what you said. As in the US, people are just more opportunistic. And in Europe, they are more fearful. And I think the changes, and everyone talks about it, like the AI changes, they are so significant right now that people actually in corporates are jumping on that right now. So it's like a wake-up call. And I think, again, back to the economy and the state right now, I think it's great that things are not running that well, so people are forced to move and do something, right? And looking into history, tough times make tough people, and easy times make soft people. And we go through in Germany already since, like, I would say 10 years, quite some tough times. And I think that's really great. And again, coming back to my own mission and vision, is like, I want to be a part of this and really be helpful also to those businesses that will try to make a change.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, like, Germany has a big opportunity to basically create new great companies again. The thing you can do is to focus on the old values, because, like, engineering is still important. And I know China is also coming, and Germany has a lot of legacy talent also, and loads of great universities and knowledge. And you need to really bring this to the next level. And I think AI is like one tool to do it. And another thing will be, the next change will be also, like, one of the big trends, and the new mega trends will be also, of course, energy and, like, new sources and power of, like, moving, right? And I just follow a little bit, like, in news what's happening. And again, like, in China and not mainly in Europe, there will be new advances made in, like, plasma energy and, like, new ways of, like, transport, and also in space and so on. So the opportunity that Germany is just missing everything is there. I think the Bain is right now there to really, like, keep things moving. And I think it is one of the things, like, AI being, like, in the front and, like, just making companies more efficient is one way how to do it.
And do you, Chris, coach mostly people in Germany or everywhere across Europe or the world? And is it mostly in B2B or, again, or AI or any industry? Just so our audience knows.
Mostly Germany, German speaking. It's mostly in B2B. I have not so much experience in B2C. It's mostly in B2B and do 90% in Europe. 95% actually. Like
Good
I
too.
do mentorship in Copenhagen Business School, and
Mhm.
then I have a couple of friends in South Africa also. I just help them with advice and like connecting them with European entrepreneurs or CTOs, technical people, also launching their AI softwares and apps.
Yes. So coming to a close, is there anything you'd like to share? Words of wisdom for audience? Maybe think of people that are about to exit during the exit phase or have just exited, right? So in either of these moments, what would you like to share to them?
I would really advise everyone to look for other people that have done an exit before, because at the end it's very similar challenges. You will have some sort of like setup investment challenge. You will have that one. I mean, maybe you want all to spend all your money. That's also possible, but most of them want to invest it, right? And then you will have a personal like inner change challenge. And then at some point you want to do the next big thing or next mountain, right? So those three things I think are almost universal steps that happen. And the more you can do it with someone together or like someone who advises you, it can be also a group of like entrepreneurs. That's what we did with EO, like the post-exit group that we created just helped a lot, not to be alone in this process, just helps a lot. And just going out and sharing what you need and asking for help. We entrepreneurs, you're not used to that, but I think you get only great things back.
Yeah, it's a great point. We've mostly the people we've seen have struggled least are
Yeah.
the people that have had a group like you did. And there's
Yeah.
not many of them, but it's often YPO, EO, and they happen to
Yeah.
be within a group of people that do it at the same time. And to them we speak to the the sense of hollowness or the change in identity, and they're like, yeah, it was hard, but they're not saying, oh my god,
Yeah,
oh my
exactly.
god, what a horrible moment in my life. It definitely adds a bit of cushion to the
Yeah.
to the change. So that's good. Yeah, so basically we've discovered that one of the key success factors, let's say, to finding a more fulfilled life after an exit and finding meaning and happiness is not staying at the surface level, right? And not just do more networking and kind of find a way to do it again, but really find ways in which you can go deep. And and so we wanted to hear you on what you would advise and how to go deeper. And there's one thing I just wanted to mention, and what I'm noticing in your story is that in the first phase, it sounds like you were very much in your head, right? You had, I mean,
Yeah.
you were maybe not as connected to your intuition and to your body, and then something drastic happened there. Something also health related happened to you. It's almost like your body was screaming,
Yeah.
listen to me, right?
Yeah.
And you had no choice because it kind of stopped you. And then it sounds like now you've reconnected to your body and you're just really listening to all that wisdom. And so just adding that to the question to see, like, how would you advise people to do it? Maybe they don't have an illness, like, hopefully they don't, right? To trigger that as mandatory, but how can you initiate yourself that move?
Yeah. No, there are a lot of different things that people do actually. And I found out like the reaching depth doesn't need that everyone need to go to a yoga retreat or do a silent yoga retreat for 7 days and not talking. That's not the universal law, right? And I learned actually that people who I'm not so much into extreme sports, but also people that do extreme sports or like do any kind of like more boundary pushing, like, I don't know, free diving I can think of, or like anything else, or like the Wim Hof cold water plunge, right? It's at the end something where you really get out of your head and you stop thinking. So I, at some point, just decided for me, I just do it the easier way because I don't know, like we're all breathing, right? So the breathing meditation that helped me a lot. So just focusing on your breath. And I think everyone does it naturally. So I found when I started, I was like, okay, wow, meditation, it's strange things. And I hear people, yeah, I don't do meditate. I can't meditate. Of course, we all do. The moment we focus on something and we stop like thinking, that's the moment when we start like to meditate. And that's where you can go inside yourself. And if you want to, like the tip I can give to anyone is like, just find your own preferred method of like meditation, self-work. And I think then really working on yourself, that needs something where you are calm, where you work with a coach or a mentor. And there are just some speed hacks that many people did and many entrepreneurs did, and that's also psychedelic drugs. That's a speed hack. I didn't do it. I didn't do it until I was 30. And I think the meditation stuff that had definitely more impact and in-depth impact because I was practicing it for 5, 6, 7 years intensely. And also read a lot of books about like Eastern methodologies or Eastern religions, Ayurvedic, Buddhism religion. And the practices they are teaching is exactly that. Listen to your own body, work with your own energy. I don't know, they call it in Ayurvedic medicine chakras and so on. So of course you need to be open for that. I was also traveling a lot in Asia. Of course that also calmed me. And the moments I experienced myself being at a Ayurvedic healer doing I don't know, like what it was, a chakra massage or something. I have no idea what happened, but it felt like newborn. So I always knew, okay, something is on it. And of course, in Austria, where I'm from, people tend to be also quite spiritual. My surname is actually a Celtic surname also, so maybe it's in my DNA also. Who knows? But it is something where people, what coaches at the end do with hypnosis also. They help you. Someone did hypnosis on me and I did a rebirth. And it was really amazing. And for me, it worked. And I think everything can work if you believe it can work. If you don't believe, then you must not try because you know it already. And I think that's the magic on it. For really tools to really get into self-development and really tools that help me a lot, it is breathwork. And we started with some entrepreneur communities to do with therapists, psychedelic sessions also, which are guided with experts. And then, of course, like any kind of sports.
Well, it's been great to have you today.
Thank you so much.